Hi, my name is Camille Nadal, and today I'm presenting our paper on the Technology Acceptance Toolkit, a new tool and method to help designers create health technologies that are accepted by people and used in the long term. In this research, we're looking at user acceptance, a concept that has been explored for over 3 decades in the field of HCI. User acceptance is how the user perceives the technology and how this perception leads to its use or non-use. To give you an example, sometimes we download an app, use it a few times, and then never open it again. And so it's important to understand and address the reasons why users abandon technology. In healthcare, digital health interventions often rely on long-term use of technology. If people in need of care refuse to use technology or abandon it before the end of their treatment, this can highly impact on their clinical outcomes. So when designing healthcare technologies, we have to go further than just clinical effectiveness and need to consider what would make a person willing to take on and engage with the technology. But how do we do this in the design process? Well, there are many theories and models available in the literature. However, this large theoretical landscape limits our ability to understand what user acceptance is and to apply this knowledge into real design practice. In order to help designers design for long-term technology acceptance, we introduced the TAC Toolkit, a novel design tool to support reflection around user acceptance and its evolution across the user journey. The TAC Toolkit is composed of 16 design cards, 3 personas, 3 temporal multi-choice scenarios, a virtual think space, and a website. To design the TAC cards, we reviewed the literature on user acceptance and selected validated models. We then extracted the acceptance factors from these models, regrouped them when there was overlap. And so this resulted in a set of 16 acceptance factors that we have translated into cards. Each TAC card includes on the front an icon, the name of the factor, and on the back a question in bold which conveys the factor's definition and a series of questions encouraging designers' reflection on the different aspects of that definition. We conceived the TAC cards as an exploratory design method for use at early design stage. For this reason, we chose to evaluate their use in the context of design with personas and scenarios. And so we developed 3 personas, each anchored in a particular dimension of healthcare. For each persona, we created a scenario in which they interact with a particular technology. Because user acceptance evolves over time, each scenario describes the user journey from introduction of the technology through the user's first interactions and up to after a year of use. And so we call these stages temporal milestones. These scenarios are also multi-choice. So for each milestone, designers can choose between 3 paths recounting acceptance issues of either high, medium, or low degree of challenge. To enable designers to work collaboratively with the TAC cards, we created the TAC Think Space, a virtual board on the Miro platform. Here, designers could select cards, place them against the temporal milestones, and take notes on the side. Finally, we developed a website so that designers could interact with the multi-choice scenarios. So now let's see how we evaluated the TAC Toolkit. We recruited 21 digital health designers, divided them into groups of 3, and made sure each group included participants with varied background and expertise to reproduce the reality of interdisciplinary teams. The study took the form of 7 workshops with a facilitator. During the workshops, participants interacted with the physical TAC cards, but also remotely via Zoom and the ThinkSpace. After the workshop, each participant was interviewed, and this study was approved by the University Ethics Committee. The workshop proceeded as follows. First, the group decides which of the 3 participants takes on the role of the user. We now have a group with 1 user and 2 designers. The user then goes onto the TAC website and chooses one of the personas. They read the persona out loud and move on to the first scenario milestone. The user then picks among 3 possible scenario paths and reads it out loud to the group. As a group, 3 participants then use the TAC cards to discuss what acceptance factors are at play in that particular path. Once they agree on a factor, they go on to the think space and place the digital card next to the corresponding milestone. The group then brainstorms and writes down actions in design that could support user acceptance at this stage. The participants repeat these steps until the end of the scenario, and at the end, the facilitator asks the group to reflect on the process. The workshops and interviews transcripts were analyzed through inductive and deductive thematic analysis, and I will now present the main findings. Designers' comments and interactions revealed 3 main improvements brought by the TAC Toolkit. First, it bridged theory and design practice. Then it helped account for the temporal dimension of acceptance. And finally, it facilitated conversations around user acceptance. For time today, I will just review the first aspect. Designers commented on how the toolkit challenged preconceptions they had about acceptance. It helped them see acceptance as a dynamic process closely linked to the user journey. P9 described, it really helps to refocus the design in a user-centered perspective all along. While acceptance can often appear quite abstract, the toolkit helped make the concept more concrete and accessible. P15 explained, without the moderation of the cards, I think about user acceptance at a very abstract level. The toolkit helped navigate our thinking to one certain area in depth. Using the TAC Toolkit expanded designers' perspectives on user acceptance and the many factors at play. P21 commented, I was not familiar with all these factors. My spectrum and my way of speaking changed around that topic. Designers also enjoyed working with the toolkit. For some participants, it felt like playing a board game, and P11 explained how they were holding the cards, but in a way that the cards were telling a story. Designers also gained satisfaction from being able to leverage the complex issue of user acceptance in such a short time frame. Using the TAC Toolkit also helped shape designers' actions to better account for user acceptance in design. First, it helped them understand the impact their design choices have on user acceptance trajectories. During the workshop, P20 asked their group, we had picked this factor before, and the persona is still in the same problematic place. So what do we need to think of for the technology? Some designers, however, highlighted the difficulty of envisaging future user experiences. Second participant discussed how the toolkit will guide their own design practice. P6 said they will use the cards during design to ensure that their team is having the right conversations. Finally, when working with the TAC cards, designers naturally discussed the ethical implications of their design. To briefly wrap up, first, the study showed the value of tools such as the TAC Toolkit for articulating theory and supporting design for acceptance of health technologies. Design tools for acceptance also need to account for the temporal dimension of the concept and the fact that factors influencing acceptance evolve over time. Finally, addressing future acceptance issues can be challenging for designers, and therefore it's important to have tools that help designers visualize future user experiences. That was it. Thank you very much.